have your attention, please? Assembled guests, it is my privilege to present to you the Mamaroneck High School class of 1994.
he wished everybody.
Hey there. Hey. Well, I'm glad you could all make it out here today. It's nice to see everyone all dressed up and everything. It actually reminds me of a story. Well, it never actually happened, but for the sake of argument. A young man was graduating from college and was dressed up in one of these traditional garments, much like ourselves today. Anyway, an older man comes pensively up to him. Well, congratulations, son. He doesn't know the man, but he's heard this spiel before. Thanks, thank you very much. So, what are you going to do now? Well, he says, I've got to go out into the real world and find a job somewhere. I don't know, maybe working for a bank or something. Well, that's very commendable, but going and sitting behind a desk all day, dressed in a suit and tie, that doesn't seem any more real than the robe you're wearing right now. Well, but the young man protested, I'll be in the city. I mean, that's the real world. Why? Because the people took buildings and people took the land and built their own buildings on it and cut up the buildings into tiny offices, sheltered from everything but the information superhighway. Oh, indeed, that's the real world. No, the man leaned in closer. The real world is the one place you, as an individual, are naturally drawn to. The one place you alone find and know that the rest of your life shall be spent there. Before I could finish the story, I had grown tired of making it up. My mind began wandering. I wandered over to the first thing on my shelf, which I pulled out and read. Bump, bump, bump. Did you ever ride a wump? We have a wump with just one hump. But we know a man called Mr. Gump. Mr. Gump has a 7-hump wump. So, if you like to go bump, bump, just jump on the hump of the wump of Gump. One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss presented a news story dealing not at all with banks or college or suits or cities or the natural world, but rather with, it is fun to sing if you sing with a yin. My yin can sing like anything. I sing high and my yin sings low, and we are not too bad, you know? Who is this pet? Say, he is wet. You never yet met a pet, I bet, as wet as they let this wet pet get. Well, sorry, my train of thought can get awfully derailed sometimes. I started out looking at 250 people in robes and end up with a pet as wet as you can get. But I think I can tie it together. See, over the past few years, I've heard just about every meaningless, useless cliche concerning the real world. Everything from leaving high school and going into the real world to the idea that Larchmont Mamaroneck is not the real world at all. It makes no sense to me. The young man in the first story thought the real world was the city or someplace where one could find a real job. The old man thought the real world was one place that you had to find. I believe that the real world is everywhere and everything. Take the last 4 years of our lives. We've been in high school, going to some classes, doing some work, having some parties. It all really happened, didn't it? Well, then our real world for 4 years was here at this school. If it wasn't, then we've just wasted 4 years doing something that wasn't real. But perhaps the high school is too broad a world. For we're completely dependent on our senses, and what is real to anyone changes from moment to moment. Right now, a certain world is real to me. If I step over here, that world changes. If I cover my ears, it changes again. When I go to sleep, my mind dreams, and those dreams become my reality. Even Dr. Seuss's book of imagination is real. One Fish, Two Fish is a montage of imaginary worlds with imaginary characters. But if you can really imagine something, then it's just as real as anything in the supposed real world. If I want to get in the shower with a large furry creature called a yin and sing high while he sings low, and I really believe that it's happening, then that is my real world for the moment. Our minds are powerful instruments, capable of creating an infinite number of worlds real to us. Communication between people is a meeting of two different realities. We're given the opportunity to meet thousands of people, cross realities with them, and create an overlapping, never-ending multitude of worlds, all of which are real, and all of which have something to offer. Now, we have to find them. Ready, set, go.
On behalf of my Mamaroneck High School colleagues, I cherish this honor. This past December, I was selected by the B'nai B'rith as the Man of the Year in the village of Mamaroneck for my involvement with youth. It was so touching. And now, to be chosen by you, the senior class, as the faculty speaker, man, it doesn't get any better than this. I feel fantastic. So fantastic. And I want you to feel that same way tonight. Tonight, I am not going to talk about the problems in this world. AIDS, homelessness, civil strife, poverty, and so on and so on. I'm concerned, but you will encounter them soon enough. But what I want to do tonight is talk about you. Each and every single one of you. 260 strong. You are MHS. And you're the best that we have to offer in 1994. You're our hope, our futures, and our tomorrows. From the heights of the harbor to the manor of Lodgemont, from Strawberry Patch to Oriental Point, from Richville Road to Sheldrake Trail, you're ours, you're Mamaroneck, your family, and you make us proud. But talk is cheap. Potential is overrated. Performance counts. I want performance. Whatever you do next year, wherever you study next year, I want you to make it happen. Don't watch it happen. Make it happen. Be bold. Be courageous. And I challenge you, no matter how tough it gets in this thing called life, that you don't give up. Don't you ever give up. Beyond your normal comfort zone lies your true inner self. Push yourself to take a chance and accomplish your wildest dreams. Enjoy this life. This isn't a dress rehearsal. Don't be called out on strikes. Go down swinging, the way you were taught that spirit here at MHS. That tiger pride, that tiger passion, and that tiger poise. In our high school, everyone counts. And no one, nobody should count themselves out. You can, and you will make a difference. Somehow, sometime, some way. Tonight, I want you to hug and kiss and squeeze your mommies and your daddies and your stepmoms and stepdads, grandparents. Tell them you love them and never forget where you came from. And when our principal calls out your name tonight, I want you to walk up to the stage with all the class humility, and dignity there is. Because, baby, this is your night. You earned that diploma. And finally, that one Mamaroneck High School graduate, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with their last ounce of courage to dream the impossible dream. Tonight, your dream is no longer impossible. Tonight, your dream is anything that you want it to be. Anything that you want it to be. So later, I'm gonna light my cigar, and I'm gonna look up to my God in the skies, and I'm gonna say, thank you, God. Thank you for the class of 1994. I love you. God bless you. Congratulations.
Members of the Board of Education, Dr. Bays, Mr. Coffey, teachers, family, friends, and my fellow graduates. I would like to cite a quotation by R.D. Lang concerning change. We live in a moment of history where change is so speeded up that we begin to see the present only when it is already disappearing. During the past 4 years at Mamaroneck High School, our lives have grown in numerous ways. For some of us, life has brought various changes. It is only natural that our personal lives change through time. But during the years of 1990 through 1994, the period of our high school experience, drastic events have occurred that have changed world history. When we entered as freshmen, the Persian Gulf War had just begun. At the age of 14, we had never lived through a war to understand its true meaning and impact it had upon us. For some of us, the troops sent over were just unfamiliar faces, while for others, they were our brothers, family, and friends. Women, for the first time in American history, were sent to combat zones. I believe that we've grown from this experience. It affected our daily lives. Americans sat patiently in front of their television to watch the latest news update on CNN. CNN also visited our school and interviewed students about their thoughts on the conflict. It seems that during a time of crisis, people put their differences aside and unite behind a cause. In the beginning of our sophomore year, communism ended in Eastern Europe with the fall of the Soviet Union. Millions of lives were disrupted. But even though the former Soviet Union has its problems, change is occurring to help improve the conditions. Our school has sponsored numerous trips to Russia over the years. Russian students even visit our school this year to learn more about our democratic society. In the fall of our junior year, the 1992 presidential election took place. A Democratic president was elected after 12 years of Republican administration. Many Americans had high hopes for improving our nation and bringing the recession to an end. In April of this year, blacks were granted the right to vote in South Africa. Nelson Mandela, a black leader who was in prison for 27 years, was elected president of the country. With him as president, apartheid has legally ended and peace can now be restored to South Africa. Through the changes and events that have occurred, I feel that all of us have become more global and open-minded in our thought and our thinking. During these 4 years, significant changes have occurred in our own little world, the world of Mamaroneck High School. We have new leadership in our school, a new principal, and for the first time, a female superintendent. They have contributed to making learning at MHS meaningful in our lives. The students at MHS have made it a successful 4 years. Our varsity football team made it to the bowl games 2 years in a row. This year, sports such as volleyball, swimming, field hockey, and soccer were league reception champions. Many students participated in senior projects. For the first time, a student is on the Board of Education and the Compact for Learning Committee. The AIDS quilt that was displayed in the Palmer Gym made us think of the effects of this deadly disease. All in all, Mamaroneck has had beneficial changes that will hopefully lead to success in the future. But change can have a different meaning. Last year, Mamaroneck High School lost one of the greatest members in our school system, Mr. Michael Rinaldi. He touched many people's lives through his work here. His life was dedicated to MHS, and his devotion had a positive influence on students. He is greatly missed. Throughout our lives, changes occur that cannot be controlled. Things happen, and we must learn to adapt. I'd like to conclude my speech with an excerpt from Owen's Epigrammata in 1615. In Latin, he stated, "Tempora mutantur, nos et mutamur in illis." Times change, and we change with them too. Thank you, and best of luck to the class of 1994.
Good evening. I was pleased when your class president, Alice Teich, thoughtfully invited me to make a few remarks this evening. I'm appreciative of the opportunity to share this place and time with you. I've stood on the side over there, watching and listening for 28 years as 10,950 students graduated since 1967. Including 3 of my own children. It has always been a pleasure to see families celebrate with their graduates, and I'm delighted that my children are here tonight to join the celebration. This year, graduation has double meaning for me, since on June 30th, I join you, the class of 1994, and leave Mamaroneck to begin a new phase of my life. I guess I'm going out into the real world. I've had the privilege, along with some outstanding teachers, to share in your development through service and example, and I have been richly rewarded. I've observed many of you since you were in kindergarten, and have greatly enjoyed watching you grow into young manhood, young womanhood. My many opportunities observing you in classrooms, on playing fields, in auditoriums, and a wide variety of activities leaves me with a deep and abiding pride. Commencement speakers tend to follow a given format. They give advice and wishes for the future. So I'll give you some wishes for you. Most speakers would probably wish you success, but that's really too easy. I would wish you something that's much harder to come by. I'm going to wish you meaning in your life. Meaning is something you build into your life out of your affections and loyalties, out of the experience of mankind as it is passed on to you, out of your own talent and understanding, out of the things you believe in, out of the things and people you love, out of the values for which you are willing to sacrifice something. You are the only one who can put them together in that unique pattern that will be your life. Let it be a life that has dignity and meaning for you. And as to advice, I will share with you 4 things that I've learned during my lifetime. Perhaps they may prove to be of value to you. The first is be real. Be proud of your family, be proud of your heritage, be proud of who you are. Don't spend your life searching for other people's approval. The second is something that I'm still grappling with. Travel light. Don't be possessed by possessions. When the end does come, they will mean little or nothing. The third is one that has allowed me to lead a fruitful, productive professional life, and incidentally allowed me to be real. And it's simply learn to live free within your cage. Now there's a warning with that. Sometimes if you look like you're having too much fun, the people who built the cage get upset. And the last, if you want inner peace, tranquility, and serenity, then learn to forgive. Once again, thank you, Allison, for providing me and my family a memorable evening.
The class gift is a tradition here at Mamaroneck, where the graduating class gives something back to their school. As the president of the Mamaroneck High School class of 1994, I am proud to present our class gift of a senior lounge. Senior Senator John Roy first presented the idea earlier in the school year, but because of lack of funds, he was unable to get it going. Now, with our donation, we hope to create an area for seniors only, where they can do what they do best, socialize. In addition to our lounge, a donation will be made to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. Many MHS students have worked hard for this cause, and we give this donation in recognition of all their efforts. The class of 1994 would like to thank our teachers for helping us get through these 4 years and for being such wonderful people. And finally, we'd like to give a special thank you to Bob Draper, the advisor to the class of 1994, who has given us so much. The class officers especially want to thank you. Everything we've accomplished is because of you. Thank you, Mr. Draper. Thank you, Chris, Katie, and Meredith, and congratulations to everyone.
In taking our leave of Mamaroneck High School, we remove our bodies, but keep the selves that were molded, realized, and escaped during our time here. We can forget, say, every decision John Marshall made in his 35 years on the Supreme Court, but we cannot forget our individuality so easily. Our individuality is a well of inner strength and power. Ralph Waldo Emerson realized that our individuality is beyond human understanding and is, in fact, divine. He called it that science-baffling star without parallax, without calculable elements, which shoots a ray of beauty even into trivial and impure actions if the least mark of independence appear. As we leave this school, it would be beneficial to reflect on some of the many paths which we as individuals have followed. The least mark of independence, the litmus test for our powerful essence, has the greatest potential to appear in our academic work. In academics, we do as Newton did, stand upon the shoulders of giants, teachers and thinkers alike, and by force of a personal effort, perceive lofty truths of a complex world. We often fall short of this potential, though, because individuality in academic work rarely appears. There's an animosity. Perhaps it grows out of fear or jealousy toward independent intellectual exertion, such as the writing of a bold and thoughtful paper or the answering of a question which no other student wants to answer. This animosity contributes to the creation of groups that denounce such intellectual independence. Worse than that, in the resulting environment, we come to feel internal pressure against such intellectual independence. Anti-intellectualism is a violation of our individuality for these and the following two reasons. It represents a cowardly and often unthinking yielding of one's force to a malicious group effort, and it discourages in the victim the active discovery and the engagement of the self that teachers work carefully to elicit. It wrongs everybody, the intellectual, the teacher, and even the anti-intellectual. We are all conscious and unconscious perpetrators and victims. Yet conformity, like independence, has virtue. It allows the individual to follow a path on which the fulfillment of personal expression can be achieved while avoiding the arrows of an environment hostile to individuality. The self-effacing conformity integral to playing sports, to joining clubs, as well as to participating in the performing arts curriculum experience, or PACE, is valuable because it creates an environment, in which the individual is developed and discovered. Athletes who come to school in their uniforms, or with shaved heads, gain a greater sense of self by partially sacrificing their individuality. Many of us join clubs, in part because our friends are doing so, and in part because we feel that ourselves will be strongly expressed and discovered in a club. Members of PACE express themselves, in part, by merging themselves. The idea of this merging in sports, in clubs, and in PACE is captured in the concluding line of W.B. Yeats's poem, Among School Children, which asks, how can you tell the dancer from the dance? That is, how can you outwardly discern a complete individual in the midst of a group effort? I think it is apparent that our individuality has found safe expression here by submitting to some degree of conformity to a group. But as we prepare to leave Mamaroneck High School, let us also prepare to believe our own thoughts, to believe that what is true for us in our private hearts is true for all men. That, Emerson wrote, that is genius.
Before I begin, the annotated and alphabetized bibliography of my speech will be available upon request. Fellow graduates, faculty, friends. You know, it's funny, all this reminds me of a story. I can remember Roy Rogers I went to as a young boy. It was buffet style, so I picked up my purple plastic tray, and I picked out a large fries, and I got myself a large soda and a bacon cheeseburger. I paid for it, and then I did what any good American would do. I meandered on over to the Fixin's bar. My hungry eyes still hovered below the sneeze guard as I marveled at all of Roy's free fixins. I unwrapped the burger, took the top roll off, and commenced fixin'. I put some onions on, and I put some lettuce on, and a little tomato. Pumped a little ketchup, and then a little mustard. I think it was about there I lost control. I pumped some mayonnaise on. Then I put some chickpeas on. They didn't seem like much of a fixin', but they were free, so on they went. Then I pumped some horseradish on. Perhaps that was my biggest mistake. By the time I was done, the burger was a few inches higher than when it started. So I put the pan back on, closed my eyes, and took a big bite. Much to my dismay, I didn't taste any cornucopia of goodness. I didn't taste any bacon either. Most of all, I tasted horseradish and chickpeas. Hopefully the moral of the story is obvious, but we'll get back to that. If life is a highway, I want to ride it all night long. There's an interesting question here. Is life a highway? Very well could be. It is filled with traffic jams, speed limits, toll booths, potholes. You catch my drift. If it is a highway, well then today is just a pit stop on our highway. Today is just a rest stop Roy Rogers on this highway of life, and the diploma we are about to receive is just a bacon cheeseburger. From what I see, we've got a pretty good head start on this highway. Where else except MHS can fellow travelers gain such knowledge on history, biology, and pickleball all before lunch? I can't think of anywhere. But we still have to be careful. You know, it's a tradition that students are given the world when we graduate. As soon as you get your diploma, you are instantly in charge. The entire earth is yours. They gave it to some school in New Jersey yesterday, but now it's ours. We are now expected to end all bad things. Hunger, disease, violence, all before they give the world to the juniors next year. Well, I did some thinking, and you know what I came up with? Phooey on that. While I do agree that we are being waved a green flag on this highway, let's not switch into high gear just yet. Let's take a rest here and see how far we've come. Let's all agree to take this new power and do something different with it. Instead of ruining the environment or trying to fix it, or put an end to all war and unhappiness everywhere, let's do something a little more unique. For now, let's just agree to keep it simple. There's something to be said for the simple days of Sesame Street, the Muppets, and Gleep and the Wonder Twins. No doubt about it, this world we're entering is a crazy place. It's almost certain that somewhere along the road, we'll hit rough spots. But that's okay. We can get through them even if we can remember a simple thing like, how would the Super Friends handle this? Or what would Miss Piggy do about this situation? It's all there. Everything will be so much easier as we take our leadership roles if we can remember the paternal wisdom of Papa Smurf or the cool-tempered dignity of Kermit. And it's not just on television. Simplicity is at work all around us. From a snow cone to the smell of summer, simplicity is making a comeback. As for that moral, I figure we just remember that while it is our highway and our Roys, and while we'll always have the Muppets, we must be extremely cautious, because whether we like it or not, there's a lot of horseradish out there. Thank you.
All of your teachers, from your pre-K through your 12th grade teachers, wish to congratulate each and every member of the class of 1994. We are proud of you and wish you well as you leave Mamaroneck. The Boothby Award commemorates Arthur Z. Boothby, who was the superintendent of schools from 1917 to 1941. It is the only award which is given at graduation. And it is given each year to the graduating senior who best exemplifies the ideals of public education. The Mamaroneck Teachers Association presents the award to the students selected by the entire high school faculty. When you consider the number of outstanding seniors in the class of 1994, the Boothby Award becomes even more significant. Our recipient this year has consistently selected a very demanding curriculum, including advanced level and honors courses whenever possible. Her extracurricular activities are equally impressive. She has received varsity awards for her participation in the swim team and was the manager of the junior varsity soccer team. In addition, she is a member of the Varsity Athletes Against Substance Abuse. In the 10th grade, she conceptualized, planned, and implemented the Amigos Club, a tutoring program for Spanish-speaking elementary-age students. She is also a member of the National Honor Society and a Caprice Senior Advisors. Her teachers all attest not only to the achievements just mentioned, but also to her value system, her personal relationships with her peers, and her genuine concern for others. She is a classic example of the spirit of Mamaroneck High School. I am proud to present the 1994 Boothby Award to Vanessa Acevedo.
I'd like to ask David Edelstein, Tony Ranone, and Matt Koppel to come up. This portion of the program, we have a token from the school to honor them. Come on up. We have a gift for each of you. And we want to congratulate you not only for your achievements, but for your remarks this evening. David? Say some further words of congratulations, and I promise I'll keep it under 30 seconds, Jim. Quite seriously, I want to congratulate first the parents and family members for the years that you have put into guiding these young people and supporting them so that they can be with us here tonight. So the first round of applause is for the parents and families. Next, I want to congratulate the faculty for your support and guidance of these young people, for the questions that you've asked them, for the challenges that you've given them that have allowed them to reach this moment in their history. So a congratulations to the faculty. Lastly, just a few words of congratulations to you. David spoke to you of the real world. Tony talked about the change in the world. Matt Koppel talked to you about inner strength, and Matt Oberg talked to you about the road of life and what you're going to encounter. I would like to leave you with a comment that I have made before, and that is, in your world, your real world, you're going to need that inner strength that you have developed in the transitions that you've made thus far in your life. The transition from elementary school to junior high to middle school. Do you remember how that felt? The transition as you walked onto this campus for the first time. And now you have another major transition into the next stage of your life. For you in this fast-changing world, the change will be a constant. And I ask that you draw on that inner strength as you face those challenges. Congratulations and lots of good luck.
Isn't this a glorious evening? Isn't it? Not only can we all be thankful for this perfect weather, but this graduation, in my opinion, is made more special by the participation of 63 faculty members in academic robes and hoods of their respective universities. Now, I ask the graduates to thank the faculty. I want the graduates to know that my remarks come in 3 versions: short, shorter, shortest. And given the number of speakers you've patiently listened to, I will use the shortest version. Actually, making my remarks brief was easy. Saying something meaningful and lasting without the aid of famous quotations is far beyond my ability. Just the other evening, I thought an idea visited me. As usual, at the most unexpected time and place. Staying down for a night meeting last week, I went down the hall to the faculty lounge to place my favorite Orville Redenbacher popcorn in a microwave. The revolving dish soon mesmerized me. That's it. Seemingly endless, cycles, routine, just like school, growing up, adolescence, often leaving you dizzy and spinning, feeling the heat and the pressure. No, I said, this won't work. Comparing your school experiences to the images of popcorn on a revolving dish in a microwave oven is really stretching it. Besides, it's not very elegant or poetic. Just yesterday, long after leaving my yellow brick road, I decided to make just a few simple observations and leave you with them. Think, graduates, of the symbolism in this audience this evening. You, the class of '94, are surrounded by your primary and your secondary teachers. Your primary teachers, your parents, are the most important. They've concentrated on habits of the heart. They've educated all parts of you, your mind, your soul, and your heart. Daily and deliberately, they taught you the curriculum of truths and values important to your family so that you may do the same someday. More important than any high school course or test score, they taught you the meaning of goodness, the value of sharing, the importance of looking beyond yourself, and the value of struggle and sacrifice. And oh yes, they tended to your bruises, and they pointed out the potholes in life, and they did you a favor a countless number of times by saying no. Now comes one of their major exams. They must wait to see if you really learned their lessons. Now to those secondary teachers on your left, in loco parentis. They've concentrated mostly on habits of mind. They too are here because in a different but equally genuine way, they care deeply about you. They've designed your journey to be rigorous and not always user-friendly. And not unlike mom and dad, they too have tried to stretch you. On the front of this building, behind you, even though you've walked that post road hundreds of times during the 4 years to go to the deli, I wonder how many of you have read it. But on the front of that building, inscribed on one end, this end, are the words, "Intellectual culture consists not chiefly, as many are apt to think, in accumulating information, though this is important, but in building up a force of thought which may be turned on any subject on which we are called to pass judgment." Your teachers hope that you leave here appreciating these words. To the class of '94, from both your primary and secondary teachers, may your academic and lifetime achievements appear small compared to your contributions to our world. Congratulations. Mr. Krieger, I have the honor to certify on behalf of the faculty of Mamaroneck High School that the students in the class of 1994 have completed the prescribed course of study and are entitled to receive the symbol of their graduation, the diploma of Mamaroneck High School. It is, therefore, my privilege to present to you the class of 1994.
The only thing standing between you and graduation is whatever I say here tonight. So I'm sure you want it short. I knew I could not say anything that was more profound than our distinguished speakers up here on the stage, or the salutatorian or the valedictorian. Certainly nothing as witty as Matt Oberg. Therefore, on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire community, I want to wish each and every one of you in the class of 1964 all the success in the future, and enjoy.
Correction, I was just going to do
94. I want you to know I was the class of 1964.
Once again, the Mamaroneck High School class of 1994. Sarah Abrams. Vanessa Acevedo. Tara Edelman. Zohar Adner. Dennis Ahern, Jr. Erica Almquist. Eric Alperin. Gregory Altman. Richard Anderson. Constantina Antolino. Armand Aponte. Richard Arbucci. Darlene Arias. Nicole Aste. Cynthia Augustine. Julian Ballier. Lionel Baptista. David Barish. Ernestina Becerra. Thurston Bell. Carolyn Bialo. Daniel Bingley. Scott Allen Birnbaum. Kelly Ann Bizard. Frank Bonacy. John Paul Bonanno. Christelle Bonmati. Anthony Bosco. Lorraine Boyd. Melissa Brous. Andrew Bretschneider. Vanessa Brisolisi. Jamil Hassan Brown. Scott Brown. Mallory Cole. Daniel Cam. Brian Coet. Mario Carnero. Hugo Carvalho. Virginia Casabo. Heather Castellani. Ronald Chavez. Sunny Chu. Paula Christensen. Mako Bratson Chu. No. Elizabeth Cifuentes. Brian Salento. Carrie Simonisi. Jennifer Clemens. Paul Colantonio. Michael Colombo. Thomas Michael Cozard. Amy Cunningham. Leslie Darcy. Jonathan Darsky. Anna Da Silva. Brooke Davidson. Britta Delaney. James Delatola. Michelle Delco. Tanya Del Villar. Jana Di Cioccio. David Deere. Eric Dietz. Dina Di Giovanni. Antonio Dominguez. Heidi Doss. Christine Downs. David Edelstein. Christopher Nesbitt Elam. Dan Engel. George Farkas. William Farrell. David Firestein. Jessica Feynman. Michelle Flegel. Megan Foley. Elie Fuere. Anna Fox. Lindsay Gannis. Carrie Giannunzio. Aaron Gilbride. Michael Girolamo. Margaret Giasoni. David Gordon. Michael Gordon. Julie Gualano. Stephen Hafner. Christy Hagan. Kelly Halaralambi. Courtney Harmer. Mark Hennessy. Michelle Henry. Elishaba Hernandez. Gregory Herson. Heather Holden. Mitchell Honstetter. Matthew Huffman. Ryutaro Ishimoto. Ari Jackson. Allison Jacoby. Tracy Jewell. Bernard Jones. Maureen Kelleher. Brian Kenish. Eli Kent. Catherine Kershoff. Brian Kirkpatrick. Dan Kleinman. Sandra Kong. Matthew Capel. Gregory Korn. Robert Langerfeld. Amy Latson. Asmal Lawal. Andrew Lazarus. Tristan LeClaire. Michael Lee. Mark Lewis. Joanna Liebman. Bruce Lifschultz. Jamie Lishka. Jessica Longitano. Tanya Lozala. Michael Magrino. Jonathan Malky. Mihal Manor. Joseph Marafino. Katie Martin. Ellen Mastro. The lights in my eyes. Elizabeth McKenzie. Lauren McQuaid. The light. Daniel Medoff. Jason Mago. George Millara. Katrine Myers. Denise Michelizzi. Donald Michelizzi. Robin Michelizzi. Sandra Miele. Charity Mikaya. Russell Minnerly. Richard Montesano. Christina Morgner. Tonya Mueller. Michael Mano. Mima Mustak. Meredith Negrin. Alyssa Nelson. Keir Nuringer. It is a custom in the Mamaroneck School District for members of the Board of Education to present diplomas to their own children. So we are asking Mrs. Penny Oberg to present the diploma to her son, Matthew. Daniel Orgel. Monica Paganini. Douglas Pardo. Vito Passeri. Yvette Pasqua. Bernardo da Costa Pereira. Pedro da Costa Pereira. Donnie Perez. Cherie Perez. Sarah Perucci. Keith Peterkin. Elizabeth Pisano. Lavanya Pisupati. Lana Pompey. Julia Power. Suzanne Presto. Melanie Preston. Michael Pulio. Antoinette Raynon. Nicole Ramos. Jenny Recca. Elizabeth Reed. Megan Riley. Rosanna Renzo. Theodore Ripa. Nicole Rice. David Ritaco. Wilfredo Rivera. Rebecca Rock. Anne-Marie Rodriguez. Catherine Rohr. May Rose Rogers. Wendy Rothman. Jonathan Roy. Jennifer Rubin. Christopher Ryan. Doyle Saez. Sylvie Sandel. Tamara Santiago. Lee Scheffler. Robert J. Schulzheik. Jennifer Scott. Daniel Shapiro. Hillary Shaw. Julia Shaw. John James Shepard. Andrew Ciano. Lauren Siegel. Christian Silo. Anthony Silvestri. Joel Simkai. Maria Schunemark. Jeremy Skihan. Jan Skirtle. Steven Samavigo. Tracy Squilante. Horst Storer. Jens Storm. Kathleen Summers. Melissa Summers. Steven Swoboda. Evan Swaby. Yosuke Tanea. Jessica Taylor. Allison Teisch. Mary Elizabeth Torme. Anna Tucker. Josh Turner. David Urrutia. Evan Weezer. Matthew Vigiano. Roberto Villavicencio. Zoe Wadler. Simon Ward. James Wendling. Eliza Werske. Jason Wilbur. Tisa Winchester. Christopher Work. Paul Warmoth. Erica Yapur. Ebony Michelle Young. Gabriela Zambrano. John Eric Zapala. Ryan Zowell. Carmen Cepeda. Rachel Zoffness.
High upon a hill commanding valley, sea, and sky, proudly stands our alma mater, stands Mamaroneck high. Mamaroneck, to thee forever we will loyal be, faithful to our alma mater. Hail, oh, hail to thee.
to a somewhat unique edition of Know Your Schools. We invite you to sit among student leaders as they talk about recycling and other concerns at Mamaroneck High School. At the same time, you'll see how this program was recorded by the advanced video class. That's 1989 graduate Howard Reichman walking around with our camera, balanced on a device called a Steadicam. Howard volunteered his time and equipment to help us document this meeting. So you see, the program is an experiment in video production, as well as a recording of an interesting conversation. The Student Leadership Committee consists of some 24 students. Most are presidents of organizations or representatives of clubs. They were brought together several times during the year to share individual as well as common concerns, and to combine their talent and energy to improve communication at Mamaroneck High. You're about to meet some thoughtful and articulate young men and women. We'll let Mallory Call begin the meeting.
Okay. Hello, welcome. My name is Mallory Call. I'm president of Mamaroneck High School, and I'm here with leaders and representatives from different clubs in the high school. I got this group started in September as an attempt to bring together different diverse groups at Mamaroneck High School, and I'd like to start by introducing each person here. Howard?
I'm Howard Blywise, and I'm a senator for the sophomore class.
I'm Andy Ciano, editor-in-chief of the Mohiscan.
Joel?
I'm Joel Simkai. I'm president.
And when you analyze your proof, the first thing you have to look for, is, well, what's the game plan here? How am I going to get to those segments being congruent? And I hope what you can see rather readily is that, well, they are two sides of two triangles that look very much alike in terms of shape and size. If I can show, if I can justify that this triangle on the top here, PQR, is indeed congruent to the triangle on the bottom, STV, then I can deduce that these corresponding parts are congruent. So what you do lots of times, Barbara, is when you approach these proofs, you kind of look at your given information and get the proof started from the top down, but at the same time, you really have to be looking at where you want to end up and kind of work it from the bottom up as well. If we want to get these segments congruent, we're going to try to get the triangles that contain them as corresponding parts congruent. Okay, now that leads us back into, well, how do we get the triangles are congruent? Remember, we've done some part 1 questions where we kept seeing things that look like this. And I did a lot of experimenting with my course 1 students this year on actually drawing triangles, constructing triangles to determine when you had sufficient information to state that the triangles are congruent. But you as course 2 students all know that these are the ways you can do it, right? There are 5 different ways. 4 of them apply to all triangles, and 1 of them applies very specifically to right triangles. What we have in this particular proof is a pair of right triangles. So really we have all 5 to consider. Now, which one is going to be the right one to use? That depends on what kind of parts you can get, what pairs of sides and pairs of angles. So I would remind you that, first of all, the right angles count as a pair of angles right off the bat, and that these tiny little segments here, PS and RV, are going to be helpful. However, they are not an entire pair of sides. Let's take a little bit closer look at that, though. PS is a part of PR, and RV is the corresponding part of the corresponding side of the other triangle, that is SV. The only thing that's missing from those 2 little parts is this span in between. Do you see it, everybody? The SR? Well, it happens to be congruent to itself by the reflexive property of congruence. Therefore, with just a couple of simple steps, we're going to be able to show that all of side PR is congruent to all of side VS. And that will give me 1 pair of sides. I have my 1 pair of angles in the right angles, and then you may say, well, what else are you going to get, Mrs. Barbera? You only have 2 pairs of parts so far, and it's not hypotenuse leg. Remember, don't ignore any piece of the given information. They told you had parallel sides. Parallel lines with a transversal always give you, good, angles. alternate interior and corresponding angles. In this picture, I can see this angle in the top triangle congruent to this angle in the bottom triangle. I'll have sufficient information because I'll have two angles and a side not included between those two angles of the top triangle congruent to the corresponding parts of the bottom. So hard to do this kind of problem without the student sitting in front of you so you can see them shaking their head or going, don't know what you're talking about yet. But Barbara, this is the proof. This is the reason that we're going to use in our proof. And I think what I'll do now is I'll do a real quick sketch of the statements because we do have more phone calls waiting. All right? And then the reasons I'll do orally, and hopefully you can, you know, again, there's plenty of time, everybody, still to access your regular classroom teacher and make sure that you really get these questions answered nice and solidly. Here's what I'm going to write up for you. I'm going to write PQ perpendicular to QR and VT perpendicular to TS gives me that angle Q and angle T are right angles. Therefore, angle Q is congruent to angle T. And I know you're saying, can't you put all the given in the first step? And I say, you can if you want to, but I really like a more logical progression of my statements, so I start with the perpendicular and then conclude from that. Perpendiculars, right angles, angles that are congruent. Okay, now I'm going to go back and get more given. I'm going to pull out that RQ parallel to ST. And now go to the conclusion that we drew from that. The parallel lines gave us the alternate interior angles. I have to be careful because there's more than one angle at each of those vertices, so I have to use three letters. Angle QRP congruent to angle TSV. Okay, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are congruent. Got it? Finally, we're going to work on those sides. Remember that we started with PS congruent to RV. We're going to take those two pieces, PS and RV, and we're going to add that common segment to them. I remind you, you can do that because with any equation, this is really a statement of congruence which converts into the equation PS is equal to RV. You can always add the same thing to both sides. That's just the addition property of equality. Now I'm going to take those sums and I'm going to rename them. You have to look at the picture to do that. Well, not really. You can also use the letters in there. But PS plus SR, that's just segment PR. And this is segment SV. And that leads to the conclusion that PR is congruent to SV. That's called segment addition property, guys, and then this is called substitution, something like that down here. Now I have enough information to justify that triangle PQR is congruent to triangle VTS. That was phi up there, right? Two angles and a side not included. And finally, I'm sure that we're totally off on the bottom of our chart here, but we wanted to say PQ is congruent to VT, and the reason there is that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. I don't feel real good about that kind of job, but Brian from Bayshore has been waiting for a long time, so hopefully that was helpful. And good evening, Brian.
Yes, can you please do June 92, number 39?
Okay, Brian, I'll be glad to. Thanks for calling.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, everybody
Bye.
else listened. June 92, number 39. Yes. June 92. Question number 39 is a part 2 question. We can tell right by the number, right? And when we look, what are we going to find? Oh, we're going to find an algebraic problem. The two separate parts to it. One is solving a proportion, and the other one is, looks like, yes, an algebraic division problem with polynomials. Brian, that's great. We haven't done anything like that yet tonight. And because the blackboard is really full, I think we'll go to the whiteboard. How's that sound? Okay. Zoom. Yes, that's fine. Okay, on this side. All right. Again, this is June 92. Question number 39. And there are two parts to the question. Part A, which is worth 5 points, says solve for x and check. And the equation given is 1 over x minus 1 equals x minus 1 over 4. Brian, that equation is called a proportion because it's the equality of two ratios. And we solve a proportion by doing a cross multiplication is what we usually call it. We say the product of the means, that's x minus 1 times itself, is equal to the product of the extremes, in this case 4. Now we're going to go ahead and simplify that by distributing these binomials. This is x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 4. As soon as you realize that you're not going to get rid of that x squared term, you say, I'm dealing with a quadratic equation here. Let me put it in standard form, like so. Let me consider whether or not it factors. Indeed, this one does. Let me set each factor equal to 0, because that's how the real number system operates, works, right? And then solve for the resulting values for x. I get x is equal to positive 3, or x is equal to negative 1. Always make sure you go back and you check for either mistakes or extraneous roots. In this case, we do have to worry about the fact that we could have a denominator equal to 0. Indeed, that doesn't happen here. When we check the value 3, we get 1/2 equals 3 minus 1 is 2/4. That sure sounds good. When we check the value negative 1, we get 1 over negative 2. That's negative 1/2 is equal to negative 2 over 4, which is also negative 1/2. So it looks like we have that one solved correctly. This also has a part B. We have another call waiting, but I think we better go ahead and do the second part to this problem because, again, we haven't done anything like it yet tonight. Part B says express this quotient in simplest form. And the first fraction is x squared minus 4 over x squared plus 3x minus 10. And it's being divided by x squared plus 5x plus 6 over x squared plus 8x plus 15. Oh, what an ugly problem. Unless you remember the key word here. Oh, and I have to do this. I have a student this year. He's either going to hate me or love me tomorrow morning, but his last name is a great last name. Guess what his last name is? It's Factor. His name is Brian Factor. And that's the key concept here, isn't it, everybody? If you get all that stuff factored, then this is going to be a piece of cake. Hi, Brian. Factor the numerator of the first fraction. Looks like a difference of two perfect squares to me. X plus 2 times x minus 2 is right. Factor the denominator of the first fraction. That's a trinomial expression. I want to go with x plus 5 times x minus 2. Again, this is review mode here, moving right along. We're going to change the operation to multiplication because we never really divide with fractions. That's always what we do is we multiply by the what? The reciprocal. So at the same time, I'm bringing this expression up into my numerator and factoring it. X plus 3 times x plus 5 in either order. And this expression down into my denominator and at the same time factoring that. X plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, so factor first. Now look what's going to happen here. We have all kinds of common factors that are going to reduce. We've got an x minus 2 in this numerator and denominator. We've got an x plus 2 here and an x plus 2 over there. Oh, look what we're losing. We're going to lose everybody. Answer? Careful. Not 0, but 1. Remember, all of those slashes really stand for 1s. So that's what we have for part B of this question. Okay, and I swear you guys must plan this. Marcus from Endicott, Mark, where did I live in Endicott? On Roosevelt Avenue, from 2nd grade all the way up till when I was a sophomore in high school. What a great place to live, Mark. How's everything in Endicott?
Everything is great.
Great.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks.
Could you do problem 6 on the August 91 Regents?
Okay, let me see if I have that in my little topical review book here, Mark. That's a ways back. Problem number 6, August of 91. Yes, we have it. Thanks for calling, Mark. Good luck on the Regents exam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. August 91, problem number 6. We'll go back to the whiteboard, okay, because we have a diagram to put up here. This is nice. I like this better than the blackboard. Oh, it could stand up real well. Regular classroom use, right? We do an awful lot of writing on the blackboard in the classroom. Change colors here. And it says, in the accompanying diagram, and here's what we have. We have triangle ABC. And we have line segment DE right here. And what they tell us about DE is that it's parallel to BC. And it says the length of, other side, thank you, the length of DB is 6. And the length of AE is 8. If the length of EC, this guy down here, right, if that's 3 times AD, do we want to put numbers in right away? No, absolutely not. That would be too restrictive. If we're going to say this is 3 times this, then I hope you're going to say, well, call this some variable, Mrs. Barbera, like x, and then you can call this one, what? 3x. Good. Okay. Find the length of AD, and the way that we have this set up, we can really just kind of restate that as solve for x. What we have, Marcus, we have a line segment which is parallel to a side of a triangle. It doesn't necessarily say that point D and E are midpoints, okay? Otherwise, this would be a very simple problem, wouldn't it? But what you do know is that when a line is parallel to one side of a triangle, what you have is similar triangles produced here. And again, if we could go back through the theory, it'd be very enriching, but we're just going to go straight to the conclusion, which is that these sides are divided proportionally. So we're going to write a proportion that says x is to 6 as 8 is to 3x, or some other consistent proportion that will yield the same cross product here. This one tells me that 3x squared is equal to 48. Okay, now we're going to cheat a little bit. That's a quadratic equation, and you could put it in standard form, factor, set each factor equal to 0, or because this doesn't have that middle x term, it's a little bit quicker, and I know my students always say, why don't you just, Mrs. Barbera, divide both sides by 3 and get x squared equals 16. And that's fine with me. Now we're going to take the square root of both sides of this equation. Here's where I get a little bit technical, because when you take the square root of both sides, you're taking a shortcut, and you really have to put a plus or minus sign in front of this. However, in this particular situation, the root of positive 4 is absolutely appropriate. The root of negative 4 doesn't work at all because you're talking about the length of a line segment. So this is a rigorous solution for this problem. We would reject the negative root. We would find that the length of AD is positive 4. And I don't want to make you crazy. If you had gotten to this point and been able to just do by inspection, oh, so the answer is 4, that really is perfectly fine. Okay, and we have Jeff from Rome. We're hitting the whole state tonight. Very exciting. Good evening, Jeff.
Hi.
What can we do for you tonight?
Would you answer June 1992, number 42?
June 1992. Oh, let me see. And we're looking for problem number 42. And that appears to be a regular geometry proof, Mark. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Was that Mark? Jeff. Good luck on your exam now.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay. Again, I think we better go back over to the whiteboard here. And I keep leaving the markers back on the desk, so we'll try a different color. These are all projecting okay, the colors? Yes, we're right? Good. Oh, we'll go with boring black for a serious proof here. This was question number 42, so that tells you right away it's one of the 2 part 3 questions. And what we have here is a diagram. I think what we're going to do, we're going to draw it, analyze it, talk about it, maybe not write it completely just because I think we have something like a horrible less than 10 minutes to go here. And in case we have some other callers that have been waiting and waiting. Here's our picture. We have triangle ABC. We have a line segment drawn here, that's CD, another one over here, DE. Now what we're told is that segment AB, this great big guy over here, is congruent to segment AC, this one over here. All right, so that tells us that the whole great big triangle is isosceles. Also, segment CD is perpendicular to AB, gives us right angles here. Segment BE is perpendicular to AC. We've got right angles over there. And what we want to prove is that segment CE is congruent to segment BD. So we want segment CE, that's this guy here, congruent to segment BD. And lots of times I ask my students to do something like that because otherwise, if you just like put slashes, you begin to assume that they're congruent when that's really where you need to head at the end, is to get them congruent. Okay, Jeff, here's our analysis of this proof. Once again, pretty much like one we did a little while ago, we want to end up with segments congruent. Those segments are obviously, hopefully to you, corresponding parts of pairs of triangles in that diagram. If we can get the triangles congruent, then we can go ahead and get the corresponding parts congruent. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is that these 2 wavy segments here are corresponding parts of not 1, but 2 different pair of triangles. Can you find them? This triangle here, okay, and this triangle over here. And once again, that Board of Regents was very kind to you because it didn't label this point of intersection. I wonder why not. Because that's not the pair of triangles that you're going to be able to prove congruent very easily in this proof. Can you pull back and find another pair? It's hard sometimes when you see the first one. Take a look. How about triangle CEB and triangle CDB? They're a pair of overlapping triangles, we call them, but certainly this segment from the first one I named is a corresponding part of this segment, and Jeff is already going, I got it now. We have only a couple of minutes left, Jeff. Can you see that? Both of those triangles, let's do them in different colors, all right? This brown guy here, compared to this peachy, rosy, whatever, something guy here. Okay, can easily be proven congruent because, first of all, they're both right triangles. Secondly, they have a common side down here on the bottom. Thirdly, in this great big isosceles triangle, this angle from the pinkish triangle is congruent to this angle from the brown triangle. So now what I have is I have 2 angles from the brown triangle and a side not included, congruent to the corresponding parts of the other triangle. So you can prove the triangle's congruent by angle, angle, side, and then get your segments congruent by corresponding parts. Hopefully that was enough to help Jeff through the proof. We have Karen waiting on the line from Endicott. We have only 3 minutes to go. We'll run. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine. What can we do for you?
Okay, I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
On a construction problem.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you could help me out with it.
All righty. I didn't bring my compass, but we'll try and wing it. Go ahead and tell me what it's about.
Okay, see, my teacher gave me a worksheet. And
Teachers have a way of doing that, yeah, and?
It says to divide the segment into 2 parts whose ratio is 4 to 1.
Okay. Very good. We'll do something quickly for you, Karen, and hopefully it'll be enough to get you through at least your homework tonight, all right?
Okay.
Continue to work on that examination prep. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, yes. Okay. I think what we want to do is, real quick over here to the board. And what Karen's talking about, first of all, you will encounter construction on your examination. It usually is only a 2-point question, and sometimes they even make it multiple choice where you're trying to justify a construction, but having not enough time to really deal with her question here. You have a line segment. You want to divide it into parts. The most typical question on the exam is really to bisect it, to divide it into, you would do the perpendicular bisector. So let me remind you that to do that, you start at either end point of the line segment. You use a radius on your compass more than half the distance between the points, and you swing an arc above and an arc below. You see what I'm doing? I'm pretending I have my compass, right? You keep the same radius set. You come back over here to point B. You swing an arc above and an arc below. And what that will do is that will give you the perpendicular bisector of this segment. Now, that wasn't Karen's question, though. She needed a further subdivision. And what we might think about doing here, Karen, is now taking either one of these segments and bisecting it again. So now you start with your compass here. Make sure your radius is more than half the distance between this new point, C and B, an arc above and an arc below. Similarly over here, okay? That will now give you segments that are in a ratio of 1 to 1 to 2. And they're showing me I only have seconds left, so I'm not going to be able to really fully answer her question, but I think this further partitioning might really give you the jump start that you need to get finished there. Okay? So, I'd like to say good luck on your upcoming Regents exam. Remember that it's, even if tonight we threw you a little bit, if you feel like it went quickly or there were some things that really weren't clear to you, well, you really shouldn't get too worried tonight because you have quite a time yet to continue your preparation. I hope what it did is it helped to clarify some questions that you had, and it keeps you motivated now to stick with it and for the next 3 weeks to continue to prepare for your Regents exam. Good luck to you. It was a pleasure doing the show tonight. Hope that it helped. Good night now.
Thank you, Mrs. Barbera, for that excellent review on Sequential Math 2. For all you students out there, good luck on your tests. Thanks for watching.